Hey everyone, Sean here with Fotodiox.com, and today I'm going to show you how I create dreamy selective focus photos with our Tilt ROKT Tilt-Shift lens adapter. To create dreamy tilt effects in my photos and videos, I use our Tilt ROKT Tilt-Shift lens adapter. This is our Canon FD to Sony E adapter, which allows me to adapt Canon FD lens like this Vivitar 20mm to my full frame Sony E-mount camera, but we make lots of different versions of our Tilt ROKT adapters to adapt various vintage lens mount and DSLR lens mount types to mirrorless cameras. We even make some ones that adapt medium format lenses. Now this adapter has built-in tilt shift technology, which means it can turn any adapted lens into a tilt shift lens. Mounting a lens on the adapter is super simple. In this case, this is the FD version, so we got to make sure this install arrow is lined up with the red dot. Then we're just going to line up the red mounting dot on our FD lens, press the lens into the adapter, and then rotate the ring on the lens. Then we're just going to line up the red mounting dot on the adapter with the mounting dot on the camera. Press it in, rotate it. There we go. Now we've got this beautiful vintage wide angle 20mm lens adapted to our Sony. And we can use this adapter just like a normal adapter. If we just leave it as is, it'll function just like any manual lens adapter. You can shoot normal looking photos. But like I said, we are going for selective focus, dreamy photos. So we're going to actually use the tilt function in this adapter. It also has a shift function. You press this silver key. You can shift to the left, to the right. You can also rotate the shift by pressing this gold button here, which means you can also shift the lens up and down. But we're going to use the tilt function. So let me show you how that works. To create selective focus photos, we're just going to loosen this gold knob here. And that means we can now tilt the adapted lens 10 degrees of tilt. We can add 10 degrees of tilt, and you can actually see right here, these are the degree markers all the way to 10. I'm going to tilt it all the way because I want maximum selective focus. And by tilting the lens, we are taking the focal plane of the lens, what is in focus, and we're actually tilting it. So now if I'm focused to say 10 feet away, no longer is everything 10 feet away in focus, only a strip is in focus, and the top and the bottom of the image is out of focus. We can also rotate the tilt by pressing this gold button. Now we're tilting to the side, and now we're creating a vertical strip of selective focus. And selective focus photography is one of my favorite styles of art photography. If I'm out shooting a landscape or if I'm shooting a movie and I want it to be kind of creepy, adding a tilt to my image, tilting the adapted lens, creating that strip of focus and throwing everything on the left and right or up and down out of focus really adds a unique look to your photos and videos. And here are some images I have created with this Vivitar 20mm on my Sony full frame. Here's a vine-covered path that I photographed. In the first shot, everything is in focus. I've made it black and white. It has a really nice dramatic look to it. But then I am tilting to the left, and now there's this narrow strip of focus in the middle. The center of the path is in focus, but the left and right are out of focus. And this makes the image look way more dreamy, way more surreal. It's adding this weird selective focus effect. You're getting weird out of focus elements on the left and right. It's definitely a more distorted image. It's not as sharp. It has a lot more focal aberrations to it. But for the style of photo I was going for, it's working perfectly. Here's some other forest trail photos I used this tilt effect on. I'm taking fairly normal wide angle images. I'm tilting them, I'm tilting that selective focus, and I'm creating a more dream-like image. This tilt effect can also be used for wider landscape shots, so you can kind of almost create a miniature effect where it looks like you're photographing a miniature. I like to use it more for dream effects. With all these forest photos, I'm focusing on the center of the frame, I'm throwing the left and right out of focus, and I'm creating more artistic, less sharp images. I'm creating images that feel more dreamlike, more abstract. Now I could always do this in post, I could go into Photoshop, but I really do like doing it in camera. It saves me time in the edit. I'm getting exactly what I'm seeing when I'm capturing it. And for me, doing it in camera is just a lot more fun. It feels more organic than doing it in post. Now, like I said, we don't just make the FD to Sony E version of the Tilt ROKT. Here is our Nikon F to Sony E Tilt ROKT adapter. And this is a Nikon 60mm macro lens, but it also works pretty well as just a standard 60mm lens. And because this lens is longer, the selective focus effect is going to look a bit different. We're going to tilt it like that, tilt to the side. It works pretty much exactly the same as the FD to E version, but with the longer lens, I'm getting a little different look, as you can see in these photos. I'm still creating a band of focus, but because the lens is longer, there isn't as much lens distortion. But I am shooting at f2.8 on this lens, which is essential when you're doing selective focus. The wider you can get the lens, the more of a selective focus look you will achieve. Now, a lot of photographers who use tilt in their photography are doing much more subtle tilting. They're only tilting a couple degrees, so they can do slight focal adjustments in their photography. If they're shooting a still life or shooting product photography and they want to just slightly adjust the focus so items that are in separate focal planes are now both in focus, our tilt rocker adapters are a great tool to do that. And generally speaking, this is more often the type of tilt photography that is used. The drastic, dreamy selective focus that I'm featured in today's video is more of an artistic photography style, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. But I wanted to show you the style of photography I like to create with our tilt rocker adapters, and maybe you would also be interested in shooting this style of photography. Okay, that'll do it for today's video. If you have any questions about our tilt rocker Tilt-Shift lens adapters, comment below. I'd love to help you out. Plus, click the links in the description below to get your tilt rocker Tilt-Shift adapter today. Also, click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and thanks for watching.